everyone, it's Warren here from NQ Explorers. A little detecting outing today. Solo, Colin's not with me today. I'm going back to the site of an old farmhouse that I believe dates to the 1910s, maybe the 20s. Definitely pre-World War II. And it was probably occupied up into the 1970s based on the finds I got here last time. I was here, this is my second trip in. The last time I was here, it was just absolutely overgrown with really long grass, and I believe today it's going to be worse because we've had so much rain in this area. My intention for this second trip was to bring a bigger coil, like the Raider, so I can hover above the grass and not have to deal with it so much and still pick up targets. But there are a lot of targets here. There's a lot of target clutter. Targets in the 50s and 60s. So I've gone the opposite way to what I predicted, and I've bought a smaller coil. I bought the little 5x8, and I've also got the Garrett 4.5-inch sniper. I've got the 18 Max, the machine I'll be using. So I'm going to use the smaller coils today and push in around the grass clumps. I know it's going to be bad, but that's alright. I've got to deal with that. There's going to be plenty there because I'm pretty sure it's never been detected other than by me on the last trip. So we'll be there in about 20 minutes. We'll bust out the machine and try the smaller coils around the grass areas where the house was, and there's a bit of infrastructure I can see on old aerial photographs from the 40s, like farm sheds and that. Not necessarily great spots for personal finds, but we'll have a crack at that too. We'll just see where the grass is less challenging, and we'll do some live digs and see what we can come up with. Thanks for joining me. Okay, I've arrived on site, and what I'm going to do, there's a little change of plans, is detect around this magnificent old tree here, because the actual house site, which is just over there, the grass is truly impenetrable. It's just laying on the ground thick, you know, a foot thick, but not around the old big tree. So what we'll do is spend the morning just scouting around this old tree with that little 5x8 and see what we turn up. Okay, target ID 85, I've got it out of the ground. I just dug a little piece. My first target of the day was a piece of cut copper. This could be similar, but it was in under one of the big roots there. It's quite small. Oh, it's more cut copper, is it? Yes. That goes with the piece I just found. Never mind, I've got to dig those 85s, haven't I? Well, there's my next find, a massive lump of lead under the tree, right under the tree, up against the trunk. It's in the shape of a duck / swan. Obviously lead was used for all sorts of purposes in the early 1900s, fishing sinkers and bullet moulds and that kind of thing. So someone's been melting lead under the tree here. Well, the strategy just paid off. We have a coin under the tree. It looks like an old coin too. So we'll go over and have a look at that in a minute. I've just recovered the target. I didn't do a live dig, unfortunately. And also we have the second tree that we can, I think I showed you these two trees on the last video I did here. The second tree over there, which is also detectable. It's quite a large area for a 5x8 coil, so this is going to occupy me for a lot of hours. There were a couple of outbuildings in that area beyond these trees, but typically I think the trees were like in the backyard of the farm where the sheds were and that sort of thing. So let's go and have a look at this coin. Okay, here's the scene of the crime. I'll actually show you the settings on the Max in a minute if you're interested in that. It was a bouncy 79 and 82, so it looks like it's going to be a penny. Yep, what a ripper. King George VI looking to the left. This will be a kangaroo penny. Let's see if we can clean him up. This will be interesting, the date, so it'll be 40s or 50s, I suppose. And it's a great nick too, look at that. What a ripper. Let's have a look. 19, obviously. 45 it looks like. It'll be a 43 or a 45. The 43s are very common in these old sites. It's a 45, I can see the 5. But I'll get some still pics for you. 43s, there were like 63 million of those things. They're everywhere. But it's a beautiful old rue penny from the Second World War. This one's only a 60s, but it's probably a metre from that penny. Not going to be another penny, but we'll just do a pinpoint reveal here if we can. Could be a bottle top. Oh, it's only small. Bit of wire. Was a jumpy target ID. That's to be expected. Never mind. On we go. Right, I'm going to get a live dig over here. I haven't touched the surface of the grass yet. Really tight 79-80 over near the second tree. I've found that over the under the big tree, in certain areas, there's really deep topsoil, and there's a gravel layer about 6 inches down, and that's where the targets are. So there's a lot of old topsoil on top of what was originally the farm surface, I guess. The surface level may have been bulldozed when the house was demolished, and a bit of soil got moved around. But anyway, let's have a look at this target here. Just got to find it again now. Around here somewhere. There. Look at that. That's beautiful. Could be cut copper, but it's pretty tight and it's pretty consistent. No tone roll at all. So we'll go with a live dig. Risk all the embarrassment that entails. And maybe we've got another penny or something like that. Yeah, see, I'm dealing with this depth of grass. And then below that, you've got quite a thick layer of topsoil. And then below that, at least under the other tree, a gravel layer, which would have been, you know, the surface. They might have put a bit of gravel down on the surface on the farm around the shed, because it'd be very boggy when it's wet. So there's my gravel layer there, see? Not so deep under this tree. What have we got here? Oh, is it cut copper? Oh, no, it's not. It is copper, but it's shaped. You know, it's off some sort of appliance or something. Like it's manufactured copper. It's not a cut piece. It's folded. Might even be a little pattern on that. I'm not sure. Anyway, no penny, but that's okay. Oh, an extra recovery under the oldie tree is this 303 hole. Obviously, I've dug a couple of 22s I didn't show you, but that's I'm going to keep that and see if I can get a head stamp date off that. Probably 40s, but anyway, we'll crack on. That was a nice, solid, repeatable target, obviously. Okay, just got an interesting find here under what I'm calling number 1 home tree. That's number 2 home tree over there. That was the home. This could be quite an old relic, actually. Let's have a look at it. Okay, here we go. Got a lovely intact single harmonica reed. Might be a Fahona or something similar. That'll kind of date it if I can get a brand. There probably should be something stamped on there, I think. But that's a complete harmonica reed. Might be more of it about. Here's my next find. It's a machinery tag, I suggest. I think it's blank. I think it's, I don't know what, but it's been tagged onto something, tacked onto, it's almost complete. But it doesn't look like it's been punched, or maybe it's been inscribed, I don't know. Oh, when I clean it up I might be able to determine what it is. Oh, there is writing on there, I think. Perhaps. Okay. Yes, there is. Okay, we'll clean it up and we'll see what it says on here. I've just sat down for a break under number 1 home tree here, at a muesli bar. I get a lot of questions asking how I find sites like this. Obviously it's research. Trove is my main resource, and once I locate some information on Trove, I'll go to the aerial photographs. Now that's not going to be relevant for colonial type stuff, obviously. Aerial photograph database, you know, sort of started in earnest in the 30s and definitely after the Second World War. But this particular site was a little different because I found it through exotic vegetation, and that's a real giveaway. You can see that just driving around the countryside, or you can get it on, you can pick it up on Google Earth. in Queensland in particular, you get exotic trees like mango trees, which are always a really dark green colour in amongst what's normally a grey-brown landscape most of the time. Well, not at the moment, we've had so much rain. And bougainvillea. Now, bougainvillea was used a lot as decorative hedging, as it is today. You can still buy it in nurseries, of course. Bright pink, bright white, bright red flowers that are really prominent on the landscape, and they show up on Google Earth if the bush itself is large enough and old enough. And then generally, when you go to Google Earth, you see the exotic vegetation. You can usually see an outline or some shape that indicated some earthworks were done, or there was an old fence line or something. And then, of course, the next phase then is to determine who owns the land and get permission to enter and detect that obviously no fence jumping goes on. You have to be sure of your ground because we don't want the hobby being brought into disrepute by people doing the wrong thing. So that's generally how I find sites. Trove, if you're interested in a particular area, follow the old railway lines and the old stagecoach routes, and that's where the settlement went, all over Australia, really. And once you get some idea of a location, it may be just a tantalising piece of information on Trove, like it was on a creek bend or a little river flat or something, near an old crossing or a ford, because there weren't many bridges in the 1800s, and then start looking for it on Google Earth. And you can often match up the old maps, the old town plans in particular, but old rural maps with the shape of waterways in particular on Google Earth, and old roads, but waterways in particular. Because waterways were essential because of the water for stock and for people, and two, if they're large enough, they were a mode of transport, and it was a reliable mode of transport because the roads were so bad, until mid-20th century. And then, of course, the railways alleviated a lot of that and took the transport off the rivers and the creeks and the streams in the late 1800s. So the railways are another good one to follow, and a lot of those lines are abandoned now and are still public property. But that depends on the state that you're in, so you just check that. But anyway, that's generally how I find sites like this. Mostly exotic vegetation and trove. Dead solid 84 there, number 1 home trees produced again. Just sat down for that little break, got up and bang, I got a target in an area that I'd sort of walked around a couple of times. Looks like another penny. Be interesting to see how old this is. Oh, it's in great nick, look at that. You just see the edge on it, it's beautiful. No corrosion up here. It's going to be a kangaroo, I can see is it? Be a KG6 probably. Looks to be pretty worn actually, doesn't it? Oh no, there's a king. There's King George VI, I think, looking left. So there's your kangaroo there. Well, let's give it a bush clean, and we'll get a date. Back shortly. Well, there it is. Unusually, it looks to be another 1945. I'll just show you the first one to prove that I didn't dig the same coin up twice. There's my 245s. Lovely wellbore. Look at the patina on that one that I dug earlier now that it's dried. I think that's 45. Okay, well that's great. Usually we're getting 43s and size like this, but someone's dropped a couple of old pennies around the shed. I love these old coins. Of course, they're a screaming big signal on a metal detector because it's such high quality metal. Righto. I don't despair, for the number 1 home trees produced 2 coins now. Well, it's the nature of this site that really intrigues me. It's because it's so difficult to detect. This is going to keep Colleen and I entertained for a long time, although Colleen hasn't been here yet. The main house area is pretty much undetectable. It's rare for me to say that because we always dig in these kind of conditions up here, but even with that little coil, my strategy about bringing a big one might work because I just cannot get through that grass. The trouble with the big coil is going to see too much, of course, and it's just going to hit 4 or 5 targets more in one swing, so it's going to be difficult work. But I don't think I got silver here last time I was here. I haven't got a silver coin, and they'll definitely be in here. It intrigues me, this site, because research led me here, and I'm definitely the first person to dig it, because no one's going to miss coins like that, those 2 pennies I just got. So yes, it's going to keep us occupied for a long time. I don't know what is going to make it detectable. Probably a fire, a grass fire, which is not really what you want in this country, but it's inevitable with that kind of fuel. If we get a hot summer this year, that could be a real conflagration in there. Not so good for the local farmers, but it would make it detectable. Anyway, well, let's keep going. Okay, I'm clearly not a botanist, but I think I'm going to guess that this number 1 home tree is a fig, because these look like little figs coming on. This is spring, and that's just fresh. They're nowhere near ripe. I don't think it's a Moreton Bay fig, but it's some kind of fig. I could be completely wrong. Please correct me if I am. I don't know anything about trees. I should know more. I know, I mean, most of the bush trees out west I can identify, but I know there's a lot of species of fig, but this could be a Moreton Bay fig. It's quite an old tree, but yeah, that's the fruit. It's fruiting right now. But as I said, I'm no bush tucker man. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to head into town for a pie and a vanilla slice, and I'll show you that when I get there. Second visit in here, won't be my last, definitely. I'm going to bring Colleen back in here. We need 2 machines. I'm just going to have to monitor this grass level, which is not easy. You've got to drive out here and look at it, but it's quite a distance from home. But one day this will be detectable, and it's lots of secrets hidden here yet. There's got to be silver in here. I know there will be. These old farmhouses are always a treasure trove, and often you get Australian Army relics, Rising Suns and Army tunic buttons, because of course most of these farmers went either to World War I or World War II, and some of them went to both. And Korea, of course. So we'll definitely be coming back. I hope you enjoyed the little outing today under the 2 trees. Thanks for watching, and happy fossicking. Bye for now. Well, it's a bit of a walk back out of that site. Got a real hunger up now. It's just after lunch, so we'll stop at the next available pie shop and get a pie and a vanilla slice. How's that sound?